Hello, welcome back to Chaos Gate. I'm Jade Star, and as soon as I prepare the plasma reactors, I will be joined by my favorite co-host. Until then, there's a lot of work to be done on the Baleful Edict until we are battle capable. There's a large hole out of the bridge, the side of the ship there, and most importantly, we don't have the star map running, so we can't even go anywhere or travel to anything. So we need to fix that. Take a quick look at the barracks here. You can see our current roster, and that we only have the ability to house eight Marines at the moment, and that just will not do. Between every major story event, there's a lot of little dialogue you can get from the three main characters or three main NPCs on the ship. And so I'm going to go through those because I feel like they add a little bit of story and context. It's not necessary. It's not really going to tell you anything necessary to the game, but I like it. It's story and its flavor. So I'm going to be mostly quiet and talk to all the NPCs before we get to the first mission of the video.
It is a term that has fallen out of fashion. It was a strategic decision. Certainly. It seems the Emperor has other plans for me. A matter between myself and the Emperor. I hope I can be of some use. He had a fitting end to his noble life. Why indeed, it is not my place to say. By all means, we are the Hammer. Remember that.
And then here we're going to take a quick look at the ship. This is our ship repair and building interface. Things are currently locked because we need the plasma reactor up first and foremost for anything to happen. The Agrarium is going to get our prognosticars, which are going to get us our star map back, and that's the next thing we really need.
Let us be efficient. I will not have the Edict put at risk, even for an Inquisitor. The ship will remain sterile. The Baleful Edict has never let any of the Brotherhoods that have traveled in her down. That is the way of the Inquisition. Affirmative. We had been the primary vessel for the Commander for the past 22 years. He was a leader in the Grey Knights, so he was revered. He did not suffer fools, or those that dared countenance his authority. Defiance suggests an emotional need to obstruct or obfuscate. Indeed, I serve the Omnissiah. The Ecclesiarchy's Imperial Creed carries only a muted echo of the Machine God's true will. Waiting for new input. I am repairing the damage as requested. I must caution you, Commander. The Baleful Edict is a shrine to the Machine God, and these repeated damage incidents desecrate her. Do keep further violations to a minimum. Affirmative. The interaction is over.
Here in the library, we're just going to take a quick look at the research menu and see that there's nothing we can do right now, so we're not going to worry about it, and we're just going to talk to Vakir.
You have my attention, Knight. This one appears to be some kind of host. An object is nestled within. It is different from what I've seen with these puppets in the past. If we must. The Grey Knights will be needed in this task, and it is your duty to marshal them. I had previously been hunting heretics siphoning power directly from the Hadex anomaly, not far from your previous campaign. Divining the visions of astropaths is an art in itself. If we must. Yes, you've taken enough of my time.
Always charming to talk to Vakir. So now, there really isn't much for us to do but to sit back and wait for the repairs to continue and lead us into the next cutscene. So I'll see you on the other side of that.
The Dominus has restored the star map to its full function. We are receiving a barrage of scanning data and astropathic scrapings from across the sector. This plague appears to have already spread its tendrils far and wide. We are faced with reports of 2 infected systems. We should monitor this infestation carefully and judge where best to direct our forces while the Inquisitor pursues her answers. Failure will cost many souls.
Alright, plasma reactor is online. That means we can start gaining all the normal ship functions. And look at the augment chamber. That's real good. I want to get the prognosticars online, but it's not an immediate concern as much as I thought. It offers some cool bonuses, think like satellites from XCOM in a sense. I'm going to get the augmentation chamber up because it's a long-term investment. Every 10 days or so, it's going to spit out 2 servitors, which is just our resource for rebuilding the ship. So it pays to invest. So we can see that there are 2 planets that currently have some green Nurgle on them. We can't just go down there. We have to wait for missions, and for that we need to advance time. This is kind of like XCOM 1 style, where there's going to be abductions any moment now. And then we're going to get told that there are 3 new missions somewhere across the sector for us to go investigate.
Our prognosticators have detected this bloom in 3 separate systems. We should examine one of them.
Then I'm going to be like, I'm going to go to the one that's next to me. And the tutorial's like, nope.
I have identified this planet as a mission location to combat the bloom. Let us examine further.
And it's going to force me to click on the little
From
info.
here, you can see some details for this mission, including the resources that Titan's Armory will make available to us if we are successful.
So the mission rewards tell us we'll get servitors. If it's already a corrupted system, you can actually reduce corruption by landing there and completing the mission. Grimoires are going to be our research speed item. That's kind of nice. We don't have armory access right now. We will get to that, I think, around day 60. But eventually that's going to be our mechanic for finding new and interesting gear. Oh, and right before we get there, the augmentation chamber is complete, so we gotta queue up something to build. Now, I could get the agrarian, but I'm gonna get the barracks. I'm going to need more troop capacity our Marines are going to get injured, and we're going to have to rotate through people. And I want a deeper roster for that. Alright, now that we've got the plasma reactor fixed, I've booted up the walk-in freezer, and I'm joined again, as always, by my favorite friend who exists both in a solid and liquid state at the same time, Olesh.
Don't forget, I'm also Sublime.
Okay, I had forgotten. Are you also lime-flavored?
I suppose it could be.
Snow cones.
I've had a lime-flavored snow cone before. It's a little strange, but not bad.
Oh, man. I think the strangest one I ever had as a... I don't think it was a snow cone, but I was visiting Veos in France, and they had, like, cactus and lavender and all sorts of plant-flavored, like, ice cream on the street.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be bad. A little mild.
Yeah.
Why have you led us here, Inquisitor? There is no sign of strife on the comms.
Look more carefully, Knight. The codes used are old, but they are a mark of an active plague cult. Of that, I have no doubt.
If that is true, my brothers will make short work of them.
You know, it just occurred to me that we're a squad of 4 people that just get sent down to the surface of a planet to do insurgency strikes. And,
What is your
I don't know.
will?
If I had something here, there'd be more Helldivers references.
They are close. We will
Yeah,
find them,
but we're
Commander.
not here for democracy.
Yeah, we're really not.
Yes, Commander.
But then again, neither are the Helldivers.
I mean, they're definitely there for democracy. They say it all the time.
Yes, they do say it all the time.
Affirmative.
I miss the meaty footsteps.
Yeah, I wish they would move at the same time, though. Oh, I don't think I covered the Bloomometer last video
Praise
because
the
it didn't
Emperor.
come up, and it's going to happen this time. While we approach this
Yes,
cultist
sir.
position, the Bloomometer is sort of XCOM or Chaos Gate's version, kind of mission timers from XCOM 2. Not really, but I'm just kind of drawing parallels so that anyone who's not familiar with this game might better understand. Every turn, that blue meter is going to go up a little bit. Your psychic powers are usually going to add 5% to it each time you use a psychic power. It's sort of an anti-stall device.
Yeah, it is a thing that prevents you from moving one square at a time and overwatching every turn.
I mean, the nature of Overwatch in this game prevents me from doing that.
Well, like, you could
Yeah.
move one tile forward and overwatch everybody else. Maybe in the other way around.
This one will.
Good old
It is.
psychic onslaught.
Yeah, that's good. The downside is that it requires 2 ammo until we get a few more skills. His gun only holds 2 ammo. But
Still rad.
yeah, the Bloomometer plus a lot of the other things that I will eventually get to are a lot of really nice design choices I feel the game made that solve problems other games have attempted to solve. Probably Chaos Gate doing it in a slightly more elegant way, at least I feel. Like XCOM 2 had the mission timer, which was kind of fitting for the situation or the kind of the lore of being. But I feel like the Bloomometer just it feels more organic. No pun intended. But it also isn't like just a hard line. Like we can let the blue meter fill and do its thing as many times as we want, and the mission never fails. Like no one's gonna get left behind because the blue meter filled.
Your command.
Yeah, some people, I imagine, probably get really anxious about seeing the Bloomometer fill up, and
I sure did when I started playing.
yeah, it is just a thing. You can't avoid it. There are later on things that you can sort of do about it, but honestly, it's not even worth worrying about. You just accept that sometimes you're gonna have an extra wrinkle to deal with.
Yeah. Which also I think is pretty good way they do it.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes it can be almost nothing. Sometimes it can actually be kind of serious and you're going to have to deal with it. I think calling it out is good because it's not really a failure or punishment mechanic either. It takes a long time to build up and you're usually well off enough to deal with the consequences of it.
That was your only chance.
That's another thing, and it'll be more clear as we go along. You're not ever really in a bad situation. It's never as bad as it seems. Even when the situation seems like it's pretty bad, there are all sorts of tools and things to allow you to manage.
Yeah. As your soldiers level up and so forth, you end up with a very wide or deep toolbox of things to do to get out of trouble. I think right now, at the very start of the game, is honestly the weakest our toolbox is at its emptiest.
Yeah, but you also have extremely weak enemies.
Well, right, yes, of course. For instance, though, if I want to deal with this guy's Overwatch, not that he's close enough for it to matter, I need a melee to break him out of it, or I need to throw a grenade or something. And really, right now, all I have to deal with, if people are Overwatch trapped or suppression trapped, is the Interceptor teleporting on them, sorting.
Yeah, later on, you get other tools. But, even from the beginning, you can use the Aegis to deal with being Overwatch trapped.
That's true, yeah.
It even tutorializes you doing that exact thing, or something similar enough in concept. And the Aegis is one of those tools that, ideally, you never actually want to use it.
Right.
But it's not bad for I'm in a bad situation and I need to, stall or...
Right.
Basically, buy more time to not get wrecked.
Right. I remember when I first started playing this game, I didn't like it because Aegis boosts the blue meter by 5%. And I had a lot of time where I'd be like, I'm going to move 2, Overwatch isn't good, but I don't want to press forward with my last bit of AP, I don't have a shot. So I'm sitting here kind of like, what do I do with my last AP? Oh, I'd Aegis, but that pushes the blue meter up, and I didn't want to do that. A little bit out of personal fear and trepidation of pushing something that kind of looked like a threatening or punishment mechanic, but also just I don't want to sit there and not do anything with my AP. And I used it last video, but it gives you 2 or 3 armor depending on your class or traits for 1 turn. So if you don't get shot and it doesn't do anything, you've pushed the blue meter up 5% for nothing, and that feels bad when you're just starting the game. And I was hung up on it for my first playthrough. It's really not so bad.
The fun thing about it is that you can use it to push the blue meter earlier.
It's true.
Nice and manageable.
Yeah.
Battle is ended.
Ooh, so here's a mechanic. Combat just ended, but we are still on the same turn. So my Justicar still has pin, so he still has negative AP. If I were to push forward down those bridges and activate that pod, it is still actually the very same turn as the turn I just took that killed the last cultist. So he would still be hobbled. Even though that should feel like 3 turns. The turn that ends combat, the turn that moves forward, and then the start of combat. That should feel like 2 or 3 turns. But if you don't actually press end turn or anything, that's 1 turn, and status effects will still be there.
Affirmative. Those are near. Be wary, my brothers.
Ah, the classic blips.
I am here to serve.
I'm really glad for the
Mechanic from
blips.
Space Hulk.
Like,
Well, in Space Hulk, the board game, blips were used to represent that there were enemies, but the number of enemies just wasn't revealed until they got into vision. You did not know whether it was 1 Gene Stealer or 12.
Yes, Commander.
Oh, okay.
At once.
This, I mean, it's got the 3 skulls. You get sort of an idea of whether, what size patrol you're dealing with.
Wait, what? No? That's just the icon.
Yes,
Oh,
Commander.
is it just the icon?
Yeah,
Well,
the
disregard.
skulls don't matter.
Ready to
This isn't Battletech.
Points are made up.
I was gonna say something, but the reinforcements really do matter in Battletech. Although it's 1 pod, it kind of works in the same vein as XCOM. Is that depending on how far you are, the difficulty of the mission. But the pods are all roughly equivalent.
Just wait.
That doesn't mean that you can deal with them equivalently. Just
Permission to engage, Commander.
so you can be reassured that there's not suddenly going to be a pod that's 5 times as large.
Right. Although it'd be very, very funny if instead of 6 cultists,
What is your will,
an
Commander?
entire truckload just comes out of the darkness and it's 30 of them.
That's something that I kind of wish happened late game,
Yeah, right.
and it doesn't. We're not going to be seeing these cultists for very long, unfortunately.
they hang around it. Eventually they go away. I think they still sometimes show up just because they're funny.
Red barrel.
Yeah.
Death to the enemy.
That's another thing. I like how this game has magic pixel grenades.
Yeah, yep.
I appreciate why developers may not want to do that. But I mean, come on. Magic pixel grenades, they're fun.
I think it goes along with a lot of the other kind of deterministic results in this. Like, there's no accuracy stat. There's no chance to hit in this. Everything has a known result before you press the button. And I think having the grenades show exactly where they're going to land and what they're going to affect is part of that design decision, and I appreciate it.
Well, sure, but what I mean is that the grenade doesn't, like, snap to the center of the tile.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Like the fact that you can magic pixel your way into hitting more things than you would otherwise be stuck with if you just had to, you know, center it in the middle of a tile.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yes, sir. For Titan!
One of the things I remember learning in XCOM 2 is to use a spacebar to throw the grenades so that I didn't accidentally move the mouse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember how much you've talked about something like Honor the Chapter, but
I haven't talked
maintain
about
that it is.
Wave the Flag yet. I mean, yes, it is Honor the Chapter, but the icon, I just call it Wave the Flag.
Yeah.
It becomes a staple of Justicars. It's the first thing I slam picked on Iolanthus.
It is so good.
It is sacrifice your action point and willpower to give somebody else an action point, and it can be upgraded to 2. And yes, positioning can sometimes matter a lot more. Like who gets the action points than who else, and Honor the Chapter really helps with that. Justicar can be out of position, but he can still contribute his AP to say percent who might be in melee.
Justice! At your service.
And that's valuable.
It's very valuable throughout the entire course of the game. One of the other quick things to get for the Justicar is the Bull Charge, or the, I forget exactly what it's called, but the Rush, because it goes through obstacles, terrain, and most importantly, overwatches, or suppressions, or whatever. The other fun things is that it punts things it hits. You can kind of tell by the map design, there's oftentimes a lot of potential to shove enemies into instant death pits. It's great.
Having played a whole lot of Dragon's Dogma 2 recently, instant death pits are absolutely fantastic.
For the Emperor!
The only thing this game is missing is the ability to just pick people up and chuck them.
The very first thing I saw you do. I didn't know anything about Dragon's Dogma. I didn't play the first one, I hadn't looked at the second one. Basically, the first thing I see Olesh do is come across, I guess, somebody else's pawn, which was a sexually dressed woman, and he just picks her up over his shoulder and then throws her off a cliff. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Look, I did not like... I was going to say being propositioned, but that's something else. That pawns in that game just don't shut up. The ones that wander around will just constantly bump into you and be like, hey, do you want to recruit me? Hey, do you want to recruit me? And it takes away your camera and brings up dialogue every time.
Such events are common in pitch battles between Psychers.
And yet
Oh,
your
this is the
brothers
first time they're
clearly restrained
tutorializing
their
warp
powers.
surges.
Something
Yes.
foul is at work below.
So that's really all warp surges are.
Praise the Emperor.
I don't really know if there's a way to tell how bad they're going to be. Later on, there's a way to tell kind of
I have
what
sanctified my
type they'll
realm.
be, depending on what planet and what strain of Nurgle is there. Different colors have different preferred effects for their warp surges.
I stand.
Right now, you are stuck in land of green.
Yes. So I don't really, I don't think there's a way to be able to tell if you're going to get like a really bad warp surge or if you're going to get something that's pretty mediocre. Like one of my units being hobbled, like right now that doesn't matter at all. Like, some other time it might be really annoying. It's worth noting that it removes his, or -2 movement speed. By default, your Marines move 5. So that's actually 40% less movement. Which can matter, because if you want to scurry from cover to cover, you know, if you want to move 5 to move up and have AP to shoot, you don't have that AP anymore. You have 2 AP to get there instead of 1. There are some nasty ones. Usually the nasty ones are things that affect, like, the ground and make hazard zones. Or some can buff enemies. And sometimes the terrain is just fun to play with. Absolutely unnecessary.
I would say it saved you an AP for a melee attack, but honestly, you can move as part of doing a melee attack, so it didn't save you anything.
That is an important distinction. That, yes, to melee is to move and melee on the same AP. Enemies can't, and that is important to know.
Yeah, this is not a game where you and the enemies are operating by entirely the same rules.
Correct, yeah.
Which is good.
For an example of that, we can just pull out a bolter and fire 3 times in the same turn. Enemies can't. They can use each of their attacks once a turn. Oh yes, Purgator leveled up, so we're going left. We're going to try to get these 2 icons that look like ammo, because they are ammo. They somehow magically make his guns hold more ammo. And when your sight cannons only hold 2 shots per reload, it's terrible. So those are skill points well spent to get 4.
And it brings you closer to return fire, which is not a skill you actually want to trigger, but it's inevitable, so you might as well have it.
I don't know.
Somebody will shoot at your Purgator at some point.
Probably. I don't know if I actually ever get return fire. There's only so many points you get, and the builds are kind of tight, and I'll go over them in great detail eventually, but not in this video. So, next time we still have enough time to get down to that other planet before that blue mission auto-resolves or fails. So it's really nice when you can get multiple missions done on the map at a time. But that's next video. So thank you all for watching, and see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
And we'll get Olesh back in his freezer and thaw him out next time.
Don't forget the drugs. Gotta be some perks about being an Eversor.
Eversnow.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Eversnow Assassin. I assume we're done recording at this point.